Our next presenters this evening are going to be Lee and Martin from Phoenix Motorcycle Training in Leamington. Welcome, Lee and Martin.
Hello everybody, how are you this evening? I'm Lee and this is Martin, and we are the instructors at Phoenix Motorcycle Training in Leamington Spa. If I could see the first slide please, that would be great. Okay, so you're thinking of getting on a motorcycle. Just as Jodie said, the first thing they need to do is complete the CBT. But what is the CBT? What does it stand for, and how many parts are there to it? So CBT stands for Compulsory Basic Training. Got introduced in around about 1990 to offer a basic level of training for new riders. Once you've completed your CBT, then learning should be taking place at your own speed out on the open road. There's 5 different parts that you're going to have to complete throughout the CBT. And we'll take a look at these in a moment on the next couple of slides and go from there. But the CBT is not a test. We have an awful lot of people that come through feeling that it's a test and that they're going to fail it and all sorts of stuff. It's not a test. It is training at the end of the day, and that training is key for you to getting on the road and being a better motorcyclist at all time. So if I can see the next slide, we'll run through some of those options. So the first thing that you're going to do is complete, well, after we've done your eyesight check and looked at your license and given you a run through of what the area that you're going to be riding on and stuff throughout the day, and a little bit of health and safety measures, and of course put the kettle on so you can have a nice cup of tea or a cup of coffee. We'll make a start on element A, and this is just a very brief quick run through as to what you're going to be doing, but it's a chat about how the day is going to be conducted, what you're going to be doing throughout the day and how we're going to do it. We'll have a discussion about all the different types of clothing and things that you would like to either go and purchase or already have purchased. What's legally required? That's a good question. If anyone knows what is legally required to ride a motorcycle, I think some of you might be very shocked at what the answer is, and hopefully they can change the law on that. But we'll run through some of the different options: jackets, trousers, gloves and helmets. We then, for your CBT, we are quite strict on this rule. You will be required to wear footwear that's suitable, that covers your ankle. Strictly no trainers on the day of your training, and also as well you will be required to wear some decent jeans that haven't got holes and rips and stuff in them. We can offer you jackets, helmets and some gloves. They're all provided for part of your training, and through this element we'll be checking that learning is taking place by asking some questions about what we've discussed. That's our way of kind of making sure that you're engaging with us and taking on board what we're talking about and stuff like that. So we'll just ask you some simple questions like, when was the CBT introduced, what's the codes on the back of helmets and things, and just really get you understanding that it's you're taking all that information in. So then we will move on to element B, which is a chance to go and have a look at the motorcycle, whichever one you've chosen, if it's a manual or an automatic. We'll have a run through of what all of the controls do. Once we've completed that, we'll then have a little chat about some maintenance and things, and what you would look to check on your motorcycle. This is not us trying to turn you into mechanics. You need to have a basic understanding on how to check your vehicle over before you ride the motorcycle, or even on some periodic basis, say once a month or once every 6 weeks, having a proper thorough check over your motorcycle to make sure it's still roadworthy and safe for you to ride. We'll then move on to some exercises within element B, where we'll make sure that you can correctly take the motorcycle on and off the side stand, or even the maintenance, the center stand, and make sure that's all done under control. There's also a manual handling exercise within this element, where you'll be required to push the motorcycle in a controlled manner, basically applying, we'll have a chat about the front brake as well, bringing it to a nice stop, and also as well turning it left and right throughout this element. Again, throughout the element, we will be asking questions just to check the learning is taking place throughout this. Things like just recalling where the front brake is, what the gears, etc. Checking that you understand first gear is down and the rest are all up, and where neutral is, etc. And once we've completed that as an element, we will then move on to element C. So throughout element C, there are various different bits and pieces that we need to complete. Now, a lot of people are quite nervous when they first get on the motorcycle, and rightfully so. I mean, it can be quite daunting when you come along to do some training. But we do start off nice and gentle, just going very steady, just doing some simple start-stop exercises. If you're on an automatic, making sure that the throttle control and things is all there, and helping you out along the way. And then if you're on a manual motorcycle, we'll be talking to you about clutch control, how to get the motorcycle moving and stuff, and also then bringing it to a nice controlled stop with using the front brake. And then once we've built some confidence, we'll start moving on to doing controlled stops using both brakes. We'll carry out some rear observations and things, and talk you through the reasons why we do them, how we do them, and where you should do them. We'll have a look at making sure that you can ride the motorcycle slowly under control, and that's a mixture of different tasks, whether or not it's the manual or the auto. Ride the motorcycle in a figure-of-8 circuit, very useful for getting you to turn tightly. Well, not turn too tightly, we don't want it done too tightly, but making sure that you can turn that motorcycle under control. One thing that is required, we must carry out a U-turn. So as part of the CBT, one of the 2 elements that must be completed is the U-turn exercise. And again, we'll talk you through all of this. A lot of people do get a little bit nervous about this U-turn. But with the correct stepping stone with the figure-of-8, then the U-turn actually becomes quite an easy process to do. If you're on a geared motorcycle, if you've chosen gears, we'll go through the gears, working through the gears second. We've got enough room here and on the paddock to just get you up into 3rd gear as well, and then come back down into 2nd gear. So we can do that here. Bringing the bike to a nice controlled stop to simulate an emergency. Again, this is the 2nd exercise, along with the U-turn. We must see this done in a nice controlled manner before we take you out on the road. So bringing that motorcycle to a stop, as in to simulate an emergency. So really squeezing on those brakes to bring that motorcycle down to a stop. We do some simulated left and right turns using the OSM PSL acronym. So basically OSM PSL stands for observation, signal, maneuver into position, adjust your speed, and look. And that is relevant to turning left and right out of junctions, or your approach to junctions, roundabouts, etc. Very different, many different scenarios where you might use that OSM PSL feature. Like I say, this is just a very quick sort of run through. There are a few other things that we would add into the day to make you the best we possibly could. Element C takes a little while to bring all of this together, but like Jody said, it should be fun. We should be having fun on the paddock, but there is a serious kind of side towards element C, because we're checking and making sure that at all times you can ride that motorcycle safely under control. Once we've completed that, we then would move on to element D. Element D is a classroom-based element. It's quite interesting. We will ask various different questions. We'll discuss things like anticipation out on the road, good forward planning. We will ask you about the highway code. We do have a lot of people that turn up that have never read the highway code. And we find it quite interesting, but you will be asked some questions about the highway code. We'll go through things about speed limits and how weather conditions might affect your riding, and there are many other things. That this is just a little snapshot of what we would go through, but it is a participated topic. We will be asking you some questions throughout this part of the element, and it's very much a Q&A joint conversation rather than us sort of dictating that to you. After this element is complete, we as instructors, as long as we've had a very successful day so far, we would then be looking to take you out on the road to complete your CBT. And that road ride must last a minimum of 2 hours. When we're out on the road, there are different scenarios where we would have to stop the clock, so to speak. If we stop for longer than 5 minutes, we'll stop the clock and add that on to the end of the road ride. But we will very much be coaching you through everything that you need to be considering out on the road. We'll start off very, very, very gently. We go into what we call a nursery circuit. So just where we are in Leamington, we're quite blessed with a small housing estate. And then we go into there and we check to make sure that you can do some successful left and right turns. And then we would start to expand from that. We'd start to introduce some roundabouts, turning left and right and going straight on and things. Then we start introducing some traffic lights, pedestrian crossings, and then going up. Once your confidence has built up a little bit more, we would then start building it up and going into a little bit more detail and going through some more of the roadside elements, putting you into some more technical kind of areas. And of course, on that element, we must also complete a U-turn and emergency stop out on the road. That is another part of the CBT that we must be completed successfully. But in a nutshell, ultimately for element E and throughout the whole of the CBT, we are checking to make sure that you can ride that motorcycle safely for yourself and also for other road users. And if all is well, we then come back. We come back into the office, and we would then look to issue you with a DL196 form, simply known as a CBT certificate. This runs alongside your license, your AM category on your provisional entitlement, and that is what essentially endorses that entitlement. Moving forward from there, after completion of your CBT, we do offer other courses, and we also offer courses that are before the CBT actually. So if this is something that is a little bit nervous for you and you're unsure whether or not riding a motorcycle is actually for you, this is a list of courses that we do provide. So tri rides. Tri rides are a 1 hour session. You would come along to the centre here in Leamington. We would put you on the motorcycle of your choice and give you a little bit of a rundown of what would be involved to ride a bike. So essentially, as it says, you can try the motorcycle before you choose to jump into a CBT if that's something that you're looking to do. Something that's quite new that we've introduced recently is once you've completed your tri ride, if you need another session before your CBT, we would then do what we call a pre-CBT. Generally, tri rides with people being nervous, they sort of wobble around a little bit around the paddock. And then once we've got you a little bit confident, we then move on to the pre-CBT. Once we're happy and you're happy as an individual and you want to then feel that you can move on to your CBT, we then get you along for the day for your CBT, and fingers crossed, along with all the training that we've already completed, the CBT will be quite successful for you. Moving on from there, dependent on your age and what your desires are with regards to your motorcycle training career, we would then move on to doing a full license training, commonly known as direct access if you're over 24. We would essentially look at your level of riding and put a package together for you, mostly really to make sure that you're not spending far too much money on your training, and also as well just so that we get the right level of training for you, and you're comfortable out on the road. That license, the full training, can be done either through an A1 category, A2 category, or a full category A license, depending on your age. We do offer some fast track courses. So if there is anybody that has been riding for some time on maybe a CBT and they've done 4 or 5 and they're quite confident, we would then have another look at you, would do an assessment, and then see whether or not we could put you forward for a fast track motorcycle training course. And then lastly, I myself, I am ERS qualified, so Enhanced Rider Scheme qualified, and I'm also an advanced rider as well through a local organisation. So we can offer advanced training as well along the way. So if you have already got a full license, or it's something that you're looking to do afterwards, we can then offer that advanced training as well. I think that's all I've got for this evening, I believe. If there are any questions, then please drop a question in the chat, or if there's a chance at the end for some Q&A, that'd be great. It'd be lovely to answer some questions. But thank you very much for listening. And this is me, and this is Martin. We're the instructors over at Leamington. Thank you very much.